What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the day we have all been waiting for. It is Sun Belt Championship Baseball Day. We finally have what a lot of people probably expected going in, TJ.
Yeah, a lot of people expected this one.
Yeah. And a lot of people expected it. A lot of people wanted to see it. We really wanted the pitching matchup that we don't think we're going to get, right? We know that we haven't quite seen lineups officially shown or listed as of yet. At least we don't believe. That will probably transpire as we are going live here now. Yeah, I mean, just a quick look at how we got here, first of all, right? So we'll take a look at the bracket to start off with. And I don't know. I mean, I didn't see any of the four teams that were in the play-in portion, I guess, getting too far. I don't think anybody was shocked by that, right?
No, I think that there were a good amount of people like myself that were looking at Georgia Southern and saying Georgia Southern ranked a little too low, knowing what we know about Georgia Southern in the tournament. But it didn't seem like any of those teams were going to make too much of a splash. You know, we had an astronomical performance out of one of the Georgia Southern Eagles, but we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, definitely a nice standout. We will get to a number of standouts as TJ did a lot of research to figure out who stood a little bit above the rest. And so we appreciate him doing that, and we will bring that to you in just a second. But yeah, I mean, I think the two surprises for me were ODU and Marshall coming in and kind of continuing kind of a hot end to the year and getting victories in their first two games to put them on the winner's bracket side of things for a second before having to both rematch with who they had both previously beaten. And, we see that Marshall got the best of the Cajuns twice. ODU did not get the chance to take down Troy a second time. Well, they got the chance, I guess I should say. They weren't able to take down Troy a second time, which is good for Troy, and we'll get to that in a second. Yeah, other than that, is there anything that stood out to you in those kind of second games on Wednesday or Thursday before we got to the Friday elimination day?
I mean, I'll just say that, Troy going up against Southern Miss and being able to beat them a fourth time this season, it says a lot more, I think, about Southern Miss than it says about Troy. In the same token, I think that Marshall was a tremendous baseball team this year, especially in this tournament. You look at what Coastal Carolina, those two matchups, Marshall's able to score combined 3 runs, but they put up 26 in the 2 games against Louisiana. So I think that says a ton about Coastal Carolina's pitching. Just with how hot Marshall was the entire tournament. Like, we're talking like it wasn't a fluke. It wasn't one game. It was 9 runs in the first matchup between Marshall and Louisiana, and then a pause with Coastal in the middle. They only put up 2. They still put up 2 against the bullpen in Coastal Carolina, but then they go and they score 17 against Louisiana again. So it is a consistent and that 17 had some help by another standout performer, but it was Marshall has some incredible bats this season. If they can, work off of this season, they're going to do some crazy things in the Sun Belt next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Our friends over at Thundercast said, do we belong in the Sun Belt now? And I said, yes. Obviously,
they absolutely do.
Yeah, in the other sports, there was really never a question. Football, obviously, winning the championship this past season. Basketball, they were, they weren't quite championship material the last 2 seasons, but they were in contention. And so, there's been no question in other sports, but the question was always going to be baseball because of the regionality of the Sun Belt layout being a Gulf Coast, southeast heavy area where baseball reigns supreme a little bit more than basketball.
We're just hazing the new kid. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. They 100% belong on every sport.
Yeah, and they got that brand new stadium. Well, I mean, technically, it's in its second year, but yeah, that's a very nice equipped facility for them to continue to build on the baseball momentum they have going into this next season, I guess I should say. But that is the bracket. That brings us up to speed of our championship matchup. But before we get there, we also want to talk about the talented Troy Trojans. There was a question mark coming in, TJ. Was this team going to be able to do enough in the tournament to get into the 64 field tournament? I know you and I kind of thought that they had done enough beforehand already, but the national media did not seem to agree. We had D1 baseball and I think 11.7 both having them as kind of either the first team in or first team out, and they were right on that cusp. That early loss in the tournament to ODU didn't necessarily help that look, but we've got some information here that, I don't know, resume wise, I think it's a pretty strong one.
It is a pretty strong one. I mean, you look at the top tier games that they played this season. They lose 7-6 against Auburn. It's a loss, but it's against a top 25 team. Then they win a top 15 matchup against Mississippi State 6-5. And this is all back in February. It's early on in the season, but if the losses at the end of the season are going to count just as much, the 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 wins early on should count equally as important. You've got USC Upstate. They take that series, and I get it that it's USC Upstate, but that is a tournament team in every single bracket that exists. They took that series. And then you get into their Sunbelt schedule, and they took 2 out of 3 against Coastal Carolina, who is now projected as the 8 overall national seed. So, you could go down the entire thing. I'll let you take a look at the schedule, but this is a Troy team that spent most of the season in the top 25. And like I said, I think it says more about Southern Miss than it says about Troy, because I don't think there are many teams that can beat Troy the way that Southern Miss did. I don't think that there are many of them. I think like Coastal, at this point in the season is probably one of those teams, but Troy beat them. So I don't know. I think that Troy absolutely deserves to get in. As of right now, they're in the last 4 in. They are the last of the last 4 to get in, and I think that that's a travesty for what they've done the entire season. It is they have been in the top 25 the entire season, and I know last show somebody said something about rankings don't matter, only RPI does. Well, they've got the 46th RPI, and rankings have RPI plus strength of schedule plus strength of record plus their home and away records. They take all that into account, and then they give you the best top 25 teams. And Troy's been in the conversation for one of the best teams in the nation all year long. That's all I'm saying.
From beginning to end too, right? They were the only team in this conference who came into the year ranked in the top 25. So we have to mention that this was a team that had the pressure, had everything on their shoulders that they had to take throughout the entirety of the season. And until that very last weekend against Southern Miss, we're looking pretty good. I mean, I think the only thing that hurts them when you look at just them, you're not comparing them against anybody else. Because I think their resume is good enough. You don't even really have to do that. But if you want to do that, the thing that maybe hurts more than anything else is the lack of sweeps for them, right? They beat a lot of people 2-1 for whatever reason. They didn't really pull off the sweeps enough. And I think that hurt them both in the rankings and obviously going to hurt them in the RPI as well. But again, like you said, the Southern Miss series was a big, important one. It was the last one of the year. They lost that first game 4-3. So a 1-run game late. I can't remember the exact details of how that really finished up, but that was a very, very close game that they had every chance and opportunity to win. That middle one got away from them. 12-1 in an 8-inning game. Obviously not good, but those types of games happen. They rebound with an 8-5 loss. Okay, still a loss, but again, competitive. That's what I'm looking at here too. Virginia Tech, top 25 team when they played them. They lose 3-1. That was on the road up there in Virginia Tech in a midweek. So they're still competitive even in the games that they did lose. They lose another 1-run game to Auburn, 7-6. They lose a 2-run game to Alabama at the time, number 17, 3-1. So, in these ranked matchups, they are extremely competitive. sans that one game against Southern Miss. So
And
all
and
that
the
leads me
one
to
and the second game against Alabama, I will throw that in there. It's a 10-2 loss.
that's right.
Um,
That's right. I
you
didn't have
know,
that one down. You're right.
but what I will say, just to work off of this is while while they didn't get as many sweeps, right? You brought up sweeps, and I think that that's important to show off your dominance for an entire weekend. That shows off your entire rotation. That shows off how dominant you can be in a 3-day stretch. They didn't get many sweeps, but not everyone's going to have the year that Coastal Carolina had. I mean, go look at the teams that are above Coastal Carolina. How many of them had as many sweeps as they did? How many of them dominated an entire conference like they did? Same thing with Southern Miss. I don't think it's fair to judge whether or not they get into the field on sweeps.
Right.
But if you're going to say, that could hurt them, like sure. I think that it's fair to say, it's fair to bring up. Should they be the last team in the field because of it? Absolutely not. They
Yeah.
they have been in the conversation all year long, and they deserve to get in.
Yeah. And so a lot of coaches before we started the season, when we did our preview section, they said that the mark is 40 wins, right? That they said you're almost clearly in at 40 wins. That's probably enough, especially in the Sun Belt Conference, right? I mean, you talk about other conferences that are lesser than and they get 40 wins and they're playing a bunch of lower level teams. Yeah, maybe that doesn't get you in. Sun Belt 40 wins get you in. They ended up with 39. But as we mentioned, look how many ranked teams they played. They challenged themselves throughout the season as well. These aren't 39 wins against low-level teams that everybody else would beat up on, right? These are 39 wins against quality opponents. And the losses on the other side are also mostly against quality opponents. They had that 14-3 or 14-3 loss in 8 innings to Wofford. That one stands out as one that they probably not only shouldn't have dropped, but definitely not been run ruled in. So that one's kind of an unfortunate one, but those are few and far between. You struggle to find another one. Texas State, they lost 11-1 in 7 innings. Texas State beat a couple top-ranked teams in the state of Texas earlier this year. They still won that series overall. They only had that one loss. So it's again, I don't even think you need to put up Troy's resume directly against a lot of others. If you just look at this closely enough, you're going to realize this is a really, really good team that deserves to be in the field of 64 without a shadow of a doubt. And
And
again, yeah, go ahead.
no, I mean, I was just gonna say we were talking just before we got on about this. The fact that they're able to they are considered to be the number 3 team out of the top 3 teams in the Sun Belt that we feel all deserve to get in. I don't know what more you can ask of them for going to the semis.
Yeah.
I mean, they went to the semis. They held Southern Miss to 2 runs. It's a 2-1 ball game. You watch the first inning, you see all the scoring in the entire game.
Yeah.
They did what they needed to do. I don't know what else you can ask from them. They went up against Southern Miss, and we've all agreed that Southern Miss is in the field and possibly a host. So just, I don't know. I think it would be a travesty if they didn't get in.
Yes.
They deserve to be in. The Sun Belt usually puts around 4 teams in,
Yes.
but this is a very talented 3 teams that we have this year, and Troy deserves to be in.
Absolutely. I think we've done all the arguments we need to, but again, I don't think you need to argue hard. You just need to look closer for the people that are questioning that one. So
It's a pretty simple subject.
yes, absolutely. I think it is too. Syndicate top performers as laid out by Mr. TJ O'Sullivan himself. So TJ, I'm going to let you break down most of these. But first up, we got Bryson Dudley from Texas State.
Yeah, Bryson Dudley, the last show we had, or 2 shows ago, I don't remember. We brought up Bryson Dudley's performance, and he absolutely deserves to be on this list. His one outing is the first game of the Sun Belt tournament. It is a play-in game against App State. Throws a complete game shutout, just 2 hits, 10 strikeouts. I mean, the dude it's one of the most dominant performances of the season, number one. Number two, as we were sort of debating yesterday or the last show, is this the most is this the best pitching performance of the year? And I think it has a case based on what's on the line. I mean,
Yeah,
this is a win or this is a live or die kind of game. This is your season's going to continue and you're going to get to that double elimination bracket, or your season's over right now. And he just goes in. He's that midweek warrior. He's that madman working quickly on the mound. That's a hell of a performance.
yeah.
There's just nothing else you can say about that. Bryson Dudley, he gets a recognition here.
Absolutely. Absolutely deserved. He did it a couple times throughout the rest of the season. And like you said, stepped up in the big moment to deliver on the big stage to get his team into that next round. Next up, Jacob Phillips from Georgia Southern versus Arkansas State. Talk about this performance a little bit, TJ.
Yeah, I mean, there's another guy that stole the show in this game, and spoiler alert, he's on here too. But this is a performance that went overshadowed in the first game versus Arkansas State. Georgia Southern's able to get the win, not just because of the offense, but because of this pitching performance right here. You see there 5 2/3 innings pitched, 8 strikeouts. And you look at that and you're like, well, what's so important about that? That's in relief. That is a 99 pitch effort in relief by Jacob Phillips. And he puts up 4 zeros in the later innings. He gives up a couple runs in the ninth, but he holds Arkansas State, a very talented Arkansas State team, at bay and allows for his offense to continue their momentum and just completely shuts down the Red Wolves. So Jacob Phillips absolutely deserves recognition on this list as well.
No doubt about it. Again, another performance that was needed in the time it was needed. I mean, I don't really know how else to phrase that, right? Like in the big moment where they needed it, he came through in the clutch. So
I mean,
got his team.
you just have those
Yeah,
performances in tournament settings like this, like where you can just see these guys emerge. And Jacob Phillips, he had a great year this year, but that is a gutsy performance. 5 2/3 innings in relief. That's insane to me.
yeah, and not totally shocking. I mean, he did earn Sun Belt Player of the Week honors earlier this season as well. So definitely a guy that people were aware of. But again, in the big moment, came through, got his team into the double elimination portion of the tournament.
Yeah.
All right. This one is just one of the best performances in the tournament, of course. And so there was no way we were going to miss him. But talk about this guy right here, TJ.
I mean, you thought all year or all tournament long that we were just the best performance was gonna be that guy from Georgia Southern that we're gonna allude to again. But Micah New has a conversation for the best game. And I know that a lot of Marshall fans are gonna be like, absolutely, it's better than what Stevens was able to put up. But Micah New, 4 for 6, 3 home runs, a triple, and 6 RBIs. That is an incredible performance in a single game. Overall in the tournament, he went 7 for 17, 3 home runs, a triple, a double, 6 RBIs. So most of his production gets done in this second game against Louisiana, the Friday meeting. Um, and I think that it shows off just how much he's able to bounce back. In the first game against Louisiana, he has 4 errors in the field. Marshall as a team has 5, and they're able to get the win. But New was not too much of an impact on offense, and I'm sure that those 4 errors are eating at him, right? And he's just keeping that at the back of his mind. I mean, you see on the screen over this way what he's able to do. That is redemption at its finest. Micah New. What a performance against Louisiana the second time.
Yep, and like I said, TJ, from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, not too far from where I graduated. So shout out to the Mechanicsburg, PA native. Not terribly far from Huntington, West Virginia. Probably 4 or 5 hour drive, maybe less than that. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. Hopefully some people in Mechanicsburg can celebrate that performance. I know they were at the time it took place. All right, so we got a guy in the championship game finally making an appearance on this standouts. Jake Cook from Southern Miss. TJ, obviously you can see the stats here standing out, but run
Yeah.
us through them real quick.
I mean, I tried to be as spread out as possible. I think there's six names on this list that I felt like stepped out and emerged above the rest. But I just knew that there were going to be a lot of people in Hattiesburg that were very upset with me if I did not point out Jake Cook and the performance that he had this week so far. 5 for 10 at the plate, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 6 runs, 4 walks, which means that his on base percentage, he's on 2 times every 3 at bats. 3 plate appearances, excuse me. So he's 2/3 of the time he's getting on base to help his team score runs. I mean, base runners equal runs in this game. So that is he's doing everything he needs to do to be able to go. And the big thing is he comes into the tournament. He's a great player, but he comes into the tournament with just a 1 home run on the season.
No.
He's got 2 in the tournament. I mean, that's all they're talking about on the broadcast is the fact that all of a sudden he's getting hot. He is a power hitter now. Jake Cook, welcome to the big time. Like, this is just a great time to step up.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Though, in all fairness, when we have one side of the championship game covered, we have to have the other side covered. This is a name that I feel like you have fun saying this name, and maybe it's because you got the coastal portion with your background there. Yeah, yeah, repping today. But Cameron Flukie goes off against Marshall. So talk about his performance on the mound.
I mean, you find out just how impactful this performance is after what Marshall does to Louisiana the following night. But 7 innings pitched, 5 hits allowed, but none of them strung together. 10 strikeouts in 88 pitches. It's efficient, it's dominant, and it shuts down a very talented Marshall team. And you know just how much he's on his game because as soon as he comes out of the game in the 8th inning, Marshall scores 2 runs.
True.
So this is a performance like, do I think it is as dominant as what Bryson Dudley did? No. And do I think it's as important? Yes. He is. This was a Marshall team that you could go 2-0. You could set up the dream situation where your team's 2-0 heading into the if necessary games on Saturday. You get the Friday off, and you haven't even touched your Sun Belt pitcher of the year. Like, that is, you set up the dream scenario. Cameron Flukie pulls through in a huge way, makes way for the bullpen. Bullpen falters a bit, but then once you go to Ryan Lynch, it's lights out. So Cameron Flukie, one of the best performances of the tournament thus far, sets up his team for success. And I mean, both Coastal and Southern Miss ran away 3-0, and now we've got a winner take all. The dream scenario. That's what everyone wanted. They took care of business, and yeah, Cameron Flukie, big part of that.
Absolutely. And so we have one more player again from Georgia Southern, though often alluded to, and now we get to talk about him, Mr. Juju Stevens himself.
He is not human. What he did this year, or what he did this week. He is not human. Comes into the tournament. Everybody's heard the story at this point because they won't stop talking about it on the broadcast. But I'm going to say it anyway because it's an amazing story. He's got 11 appearances on the year. He's 4 for 22. He's batting 182 coming into this tournament. And you look at the play-in game against Arkansas State, and he's batting 182, and they've got him a designated hitter. I'm like, what are we doing? This is a play-in game. And he proves everybody wrong. That first game, he goes 6 for 6. He has a home run, 2 doubles, 3 singles. And I think 6 RBIs in that game as well, or I could be wrong on that, but overall, 8 for 14, 2 home runs, 3 doubles, 8 RBIs, and this is all, you take out the 0 for 4 that he did against Coastal. Just take that one out. He goes 8 for 10 with the rest of that stuff there in 2 games.
Yeah.
That is it. Juju Stevens, I think the head coach for Louisiana, Strebs, I believe is his name. I could be wrong on that. But he comes in and he's talking about the win, and he's like, I'm just proud of my pitching staff to be able to deal with someone who is not in this stratosphere right now. The hottest pitcher in the solar system, I think were his words, or the hottest hitter in the solar system. Yeah, Juju Stevens. I don't care that Georgia Southern didn't make it as far as they would have liked. I don't care that they only played 3 games. He is the player of the tournament with what he was able to do in the story behind it. Player of the tournament. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's crazy to come from literally almost nowhere, right? You said he doesn't even have many appearances in the games thus far this year. It seems like Georgia Southern knew what he was capable of. It's just other people probably didn't. But yeah, what a surprise for them, and what a way to get them into the double elimination portion where he continued to play pretty well there as well. But that again brings us to Saturday's semifinal, where Southern Miss took care of business, beating Troy 2-1 to advance to their 3rd straight Sun Belt championship game. TJ, you spoke about all the scoring being early in this one, and then it was a lot of defense, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you watch the first inning, and you've seen all the scoring in the game. Top of the first inning, Darnell doubles down the right field line. He gets 1 run across in Meyer, and then that's with 2 outs as well. So a big time to come through and take a 1-0 lead. And then Southern Miss able to get out of the inning. Bottom of the first, you've got it's not a great start for the Troy pitching staff. You have Jake Cook walking. Monaster, he reaches on a fielder's choice. It's not ruled an error. It probably should have been. But then you've got a flyout, a strikeout, and you think that Troy's about to get out of this with a lead and strand 2. And instead, it's a single down the right field line. And if you look at the if you look at the box score, you just chalk that up as a line drive. Nope. It's a pop fly that should have been caught, and it was overran. The wind must have caught it or something. It was a high fly ball. But that is the difference. That is the difference between Troy and USM playing a second game, possibly, is that play. You've got because Troy goes on for the next 8 frames and shuts down Southern Miss. And it's that play that scores 2 runs on contact with 2 outs. Everybody's running. There's no reason for anybody to score on that play otherwise. And Troy ends up dropping what ends up being a heartbreaker because of that one play at the very beginning. If that play is caught, that this game could have gone a completely different direction.
Absolutely. That is one side, one semifinal. Here is the other. Coastal Carolina took down Marshall 6-1, ends Marshall's little run there, and reaches their first championship game since 2019. We know the pedigree between Southern Miss and Coastal Carolina. It's kind of surprising to me that when you look at that year that they last made the championship game, to be honest with you. But that does not, exclude them from participating in the 64-team field on a usual basis. But tell us about how the Chanticleers ended up getting to the championship game against Southern Miss today.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't anything necessarily standout worthy in this game. Coastal just did Coastal Carolina things. The one thing that I do want to talk about is the fact that they did throw Jacob Morrison. I just would like to. This is not me with any hate. I'm not trying to be that guy. I just don't see the reason behind pitching, like holding off on your ace. You hold off on your ace and then you pitch him right before the championship game. I don't get that. Like they've got Luke Jones. And we'll talk a little bit more about this later. Luke Jones is probably going to get the ball today. Official lineups and starters have not been released yet. Luke Jones has pitched. He's a freshman. He's pitched both games against Clemson, and he held them to a combined 5 hits within those 2 games in 8 1/3 innings pitched. I don't get, like, I would have pitched Jones personally in this game. That's really the one note I have is you get so far, and maybe it's the fact that the Herd are hot. Maybe it's just the fact that they put up 26 runs against Louisiana. You don't want to take that chance. And like I understand that. And I also think that Luke Jones, should he get the ball today, is going to put up a great performance. Do I think that they should have been swapped? Probably. But other than that, Coastal Carolina able to plate 6. Kind of had their way with Marshall, able to put up more runs than they did in the first meeting. Kind of figured them out a little bit. But this was also a Marshall staff that was kind of depleted at this point. They had played. This was their 4th game. So, right. It props to Marshall, but Coastal was just more rested and had deeper pitching. And that's really what this game came down to.
Absolutely. Well, now time for the part that we've all been telling you about. We've got a couple guests that are going to be joining us from each side of today's championship game. So we're going to welcome in Jason Bailey, who's down there in Montgomery, Alabama, as well as Gray Bray, who I believe is also down there, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah, Gray Bray. Gray Bray was behind the dish yesterday. He's showing off his guns in the bleachers. Yeah, how's the sunburn right now?
It's moderate. Got a kind of a burn last week at Myrtle, so beginning of the season, and then we're kind of good for now. So the fans were a couple of our parents were gracious enough to give me some sunscreen, so it was good.
Nice. That's definitely needed, especially in my case, if you can't tell with the pale skin here. So, yeah, let's bring in Jason Bailey to the top.
What's up, fellas?
And representing well down there in Montgomery, and you're still at the hotel, but you're about to take off here soon. And
yeah, we are in the hotel. This hotel's great. Bunch of Southern Miss fans. I don't know what you can pick up from that, but
this place is awesome. It's the embassy, and it's walkable. Everything's walkable. I'd like to just for a second touch on the fact that people bang on Montgomery, and a lot of our fans wanted in Biloxi or Pensacola. I've heard Chattanooga thrown around. Montgomery's fine. It's relatively affordable. Everything is walkable. I know Coastal will probably like it closer to them, but and if people talk about Southern Miss fans would light it up down in Biloxi, Southern Miss fans are going to go anywhere, right? No matter where it is, we're going to have a bunch of people there. If anything, you would think that Troy would have more fans at this thing. And they're just non-existent. Marshall, I think, has more people here than Troy does, which is really weird because that could have been their last baseball game yesterday, right?
Yeah, it could have been. We just talked earlier before we had you on, Jason, that we hope it's not because it also helps Southern Miss look more powerful when you take down a good Troy team, right? So we're saying Troy is a good baseball team. They deserve to be in the field, and that also helps Southern Miss's resume as well because they weren't able to beat Southern Miss. So that should pump up Southern Miss and not hurt Troy too much. But we'll see if that's what actually ends up happening.
Yeah, I mean, in
today's game against Coastal, this is what it's like, I think, being in that league that I hate so much.
That our two sisters up north play in. Because all you have to do is show up. Like, if you don't crash and die on the way to the stadium, your RPI goes up. No matter if you win or lose. So I was playing Coastal today. This is what it's like. All you have to do is get to conference, and that's it. It doesn't matter from that point forward. So this is kind of a very small taste of what it's like to be in that league all the time, minus the millions of free dollars.
Yeah, doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Well, Gray, I want to get Gray back involved for a second because you kind of touched on, Jason, the fact that you like it down in Montgomery. So I wanted to talk about the actual experience around the playing field, and any activities like what has it been like for the actual baseball? Like, what has the experience been like?
It's been really cool to kind of see college the college game being played in a minor league stadium, and the fact that like Mr. Jason touched on, the fact that everything is so walkable. Like I didn't touch I parked my car at the hotel, and I haven't had to touch it until the day when we checked out. So we were able to go get food. We were able to walk to the game. We watched other games. Like, it was so accessible to go watch other games. I didn't get here till Friday evening, so we caught the tail end of the Marshall, Louisiana game. But it's been everything's been really accessible. Everybody here has been so nice. So it's been a really, really cool atmosphere. And then obviously winning your games is huge too. So.
And Jason, I'll also open that up to you. Like, you touch on that a little bit further. What have you liked outside of the actual baseball, like around the facility and everything?
Oh, so yeah, I mean, outside of baseball, I guess a lot of what he said, we've hit up every little bar that you can hit up around here. The hotel's super nice. It's this place where we are right here. There's been a lot of coastal people here too, but this is the Southern Miss where all the players from Southern Miss are staying. So it's like Southern Miss fantasy camp. You're walking around, you're high fiving. I was like, "Hey man, you gonna be starting today?" And he's like, "Yes, sir." So you get an inside scoop right there, and you see him at the breakfast table. And after the game yesterday, we're in the lobby, and the team came walking through, and it was like a little miniature eagle walk, celebratory eagle walk coming back through the front doors there. So it's been great. I can't say enough great things about the city of Montgomery, and it has a lot more things than I thought. Right, the little riverboat down there through the tunnel. I don't know if you've made it through there, Gray, but it's neat. There's a lot of history here. There's a lot of good barbecue here. There's a little alleyway that we found last night with several restaurants up and down it. It's cool. It's clean. I don't feel like there's a crime issue. I mean, I like a lot that Montgomery has to offer for sure.
Nice. Well, see, that's some of the best detail I've heard about the stadium and the area so far, and that seems to be a good selling point on why the conference has continued to want to host it in Montgomery, because we have seen a lot of opposition to that. Jason, before we go back to Bray here, who did you ask if they were going to be starting today?
Camden Sundstrom.
Okay.
I think Camden's getting the ball. I mean, he's another freshman pitcher. One of these guys that 2 to 3 years from now, you're going to be like, wow, they've improved so much. But he's already a good player. With Southern Miss, I think, comes in with a team ERA a tick under 4 right now. I don't know if anybody saw that a month and a half ago before we went on this crazy streak. But it happens every year, right? Something that Coach Oz does with these pitchers is incredible. We didn't have a lot to lean on outside of J.B. Middleton coming into this season. He had never been a Friday guy, never been really a starter. So we all knew that he was electric, but outside of that, we hoped Matt Adams would come back, and he has. But then, Graydon Harris has taken that Sunday role, true freshman. We got another true freshman throwing today. Brooks Willoughby's thrown a lot, true freshman. We have a ton of guys. Ty Long is probably our shortstop of the future. You're probably going to see him throw today. This will be the last year that he pitches, I think. He's smooth as silk at short, big kid, going to hit a lot of homers, a lot like Nick Monaster. But, yeah, I think that you're going to see a lot of pitchers today. Coastal probably will do the same thing. The game will dictate it, but I think both teams are kind of entering into this as if it were a midweek a little bit. What do you think, Gray?
Makes sense.
I have no confirmation on who we're pitching, but based off the rotation, it would be Luke Jones. And like TJ said, he got both starts against Clemson and looked cool as cucumber. So I would say we're approaching it pretty much like a midweek as well, especially playing the past 4 days. Or I guess break in between, but playing 4 games.
Yeah, Gray, have you seen?
Personally, I just wanted to say I'm personally surprised that they're not going with Middleton. But I love it. I love the fact that they're attacking this like a midweek game. I think that like Middleton would have the rest, right? Middleton would have the ability to go.
No, not at all. No, he just pitched, right? The other day. So you're normally used to 6 days rest. This will be 4.
maybe. I mean, I'm not saying he couldn't come in for 25 pitches like a bullpen day or something like
Yeah.
that. But again, both of these teams are already in regionals. We can agree on
Mhm.
that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
very
what's
true.
the bigger deal? Being ready for that. I mean, if you were to throw Middleton at all and he would have an elbow injury or something, I mean, you would never forgive yourself. So,
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, I'm
That's
not
fair.
there. I don't know what his arm's feeling like. I don't know any of that. But coming from a coach's standpoint, I just can't imagine. Not that this game doesn't mean a lot. We want to win it. We've won it the last 2 years in a row, and it's great. But there are bigger fish to fry regionally for both teams. And so I think we both hope we win. We're going to give it our all and all that. But you have to be ready for next week.
Yeah, that's very fair.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I know that, Jason, you talked about that hotel specifically being very Southern Miss heavy. Gray, have you seen an uptick in Coastal fans coming down, or have you felt like kind of once you got down there, it was kind of the same group so far?
It's primarily the same group. Chance Miller, our AD, got in Friday night and was at the game yesterday. We're actually staying. I think we're staying in the same hotel that Jason is at the embassy. So we're with all the Southern Miss people. So I've been saying good morning to them. It's been a great group of people. So kind of nice to meet everybody. But it's pretty much the same group as we've had most of the week. Some people did come in like I did. Came in the weekend after work and everything on Friday.
Do you don the costume at all anymore, or since it's been discovered that you were Chauncey over the last several years, that over is someone else in the costume today?
There is. We don't have them. Didn't bring them today, but there is somebody else. There's a group now. So I moved on, and I'll still be there for another 2 years, but I'll be primarily on the other game day atmosphere stuff.
Nice, very nice.
Yes, sir.
All right, so TJ, do you want to go into kind of like prediction about what these guys think they're going to see today, or what?
Yeah, I would love to hear what both of these guys want to see from their respective teams. Obviously, I think we're going to have Jason's going to pick Southern Miss to win and Gray's going to pick Coastal to win. But what do you want to see from your team? I guess is the way that I'll phrase that question. Something maybe you haven't seen all week or something you'd like to see continue throughout the course of the tournament. Jason, we'll start with you.
So I would say I'd like to see a high-class baseball game, right? Which I think that we're going to see that through the years. I think back to the Conference USA years when we played Rice all the time before they just fell off the earth. That was a very high-class baseball game every time we played them. So I want to see that. I'd like to see us hit the ball better than we did yesterday. So if Coastal, if you can throw a lefty that throws like 84 to 86, it's been giving us fits for like 200 years. So, yeah, hit the ball a little bit better. And because Troy hit the ball better Troy did most things better than we did yesterday, and we still won. That's how you know you're on a great streak like we are. But pitchers are going to be young. Hopefully the moment's not too big. And, throw strikes. Coastal's awesome, right? Coastal's the top 10 team. I wish that we could play them every single year in a series. It's really, I guess, poetic in a sense that we've wanted this matchup the entire year, and we didn't get it until the very last game possible. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be hot out there. Yeah, throw strikes, put the ball in play, hit it harder, hit it like we have the last month and a half, and we're going to have a shot at the end.
I got one last question before we move on to Bray for you, Jason. So, like you said, these teams are both in regionals, both have possibly a very good opportunity to host, or at least be in the argument for doing so. How much does it hinder or is it a disappointment if you drop the game? I mean, knowing that you're going on further anyways, is it just, hey, I just want to look good? If we lose to a team that's just on fire, that's okay kind of thing. Obviously, you don't want to lose, but just throwing that out there because I'm going to ask Bray the same type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you want to win the game. We'll all feel a lot better about ourselves on the drive home if you're leaving here with a victory. But let's make no mistake about it. It's we all want to go to Omaha, right? If anything, this is a test right before. This is like playing a really awesome golf course on your way to Augusta. You want to
That's
do
a great
great,
analogy.
but
That's a great analogy.
but at the end of the day, if you shoot a course record on some course that nobody knows about, um, and then stink it up at Augusta, then that's no good. So yes, of course. I mean, they have a long. What was it, 17 games you guys have? We have 18, something like that, or 19
Something
games in a
like that.
row.
You guys
Neither
are
one of us.
one ahead of us.
Yeah, neither one of us have lost a game in over a month, so we got pretty used to winning. You want to see that continue, but yeah. So I'd feel great if we won, and it's not going to be the end of the world if we lose.
Great.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Just to build off of that, I think that's a fantastic point. I think whoever loses this game, like, has the better end of the deal. Just for moving forward, I honestly think that whoever loses this game, get that loss out of the way, and then move into the regional play. We want to win. You want to win everything, but I think that is just it. This could be the loss that propels one team into Omaha. I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking out of my rear end here, but this is I think that it means a lot.
Gray, what do you expect
No,
out of today's game from the Coastal side of things?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. It's pretty much a unstoppable force meeting an unmovable object where you haven't lost in a month. Either team, one team's going to have to give. And I do think that like what TJ was saying about having that edge, like it's good to lose. You learn just as much as from when you lose from when you win. So obviously I'd like to win. That's an 8-hour car ride. It's going to be a lot better if we end up winning that game. But at the same time, I know it's going to be a very high-class game. It showcases one of the best conferences in the country for baseball. We have two of the best teams. We have two. I know D1 Baseball came out this morning and said both are projected to be regional hosts. So, like we were saying, like winning or losing today could be the difference in the regional and then in the supers that could propel one, if not both of these teams to Omaha.
Yeah. I would love to see both of them in Omaha. I think that'd be a great thing. Any last tidbits or things you want to share with us before you go? A personal plug, or Jason, you want to plug the show while you're here as well?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I appreciate you guys inviting me on. It's with an 8-year-old, it's getting tougher and tougher and tougher to find time to even do these things remotely. But I'm glad that we can squeeze it in. So if you do want to go listen to our show, we do one once a week, sometimes more if we go live. But once a week, To the Top Talk. You can find it anywhere that you get your podcast. We usually release on Tuesday morning, record on Monday night. So look for that. And if we have a live episode, you can go to our YouTube channel and you can subscribe so that you'll get the little alert, right, that we're going live. And again, appreciate you guys having me on, and hope we come out on top. But obviously, good luck to Gray and the Chanticleers. I mean, a fantastic fan base. To have this many people here that they have on an 8-9 hour drive, depending on where you are, is fantastic. So glad that we're in the same league, and look forward to a good baseball game.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. And Gray, let's give you a turn here.
Yeah, absolutely. I just thank you so much for allowing me to come on and talk about some Sunbelt baseball and the Shants and everything. And Mr. Bailey, I'll definitely be tuning in now that I know about the show. So thank you so much for those words, and best of luck today. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited for a really cool environment in Montgomery.
All right. Thank you guys very much, and best of luck. Enjoy the game today.
Awesome. We'll see you guys.
Yeah, that was great. I'm glad we had two guys on site. That was awesome. That's what our kind of plan was late last night. So an extra shout out to both Gray and Jason for short notice notification and making it work.
We're talking like 12-hour notice right now, and getting on. Like, these guys that I knew, I've been in contact with Bray for a while now. He does a great job. Doing his in hosting stuff with Coastal Athletics. And he just knows Coastal Athletics, and I thought he'd be a great job. And when I saw him behind the dish wearing his like rolled up sleeves and he's showing off the guns behind the home plate, I was like, that's a guy I want on here. And Jason, you know Jason better than I do, but he's, that he does a great job with To the Top Talk. Definitely check him out. Two guys on site. Love it.
Yeah, and they are on site for the championship game of the Sun Belt Baseball Tournament, number 11 in the country versus number 12 in the D1 baseball rankings, happening here shortly in Montgomery, Alabama. If you've joined us live, we really appreciate it. And be sure to tune in to ESPN Plus. Unfortunately, we've got some lower level leagues that got some better coverage than us. We're going to have to give ESPN a hard time. TJ, you're down the road from them in Connecticut right now. You need to go knock on a door there or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna go knock on a door, and what they're gonna do is they're gonna turn me away. No, it is a shame. You've got the entire baseball world, entire college baseball world's gonna be tuned into this game. Regardless of what the stands might look like, I'm hoping that, being as though it's Sunday, Memorial Day weekend, and that both teams are in the tournament, we have better turnout than we've had most of this week. Because I get it, midweek games, people have jobs and they've got to go, but there's no excuse today. This one needs to be. We saw what Southern Miss did against Troy, okay, and who they were able to get behind home plate. Coastal needs to do that as well, and there needs to be a packed state, because that does have an impact, on the umpire, on the starting pitcher. So I'm hoping for a great game, like Jason said. I'm also hoping for a chippy, hostile environment, because that's what it's going to be the rest of the way for both of these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. The funny thing about this is we've talked all season, and we just talked about it here earlier with those two guys as well. They haven't played each other. They didn't have a series against each other this year. They obviously wouldn't have a one-off as they are in the same conference. But they
gotta be
10
romantic about baseball, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right
They
at the end of the
did have
season.
10 common opponents between the two. Now, a couple of them are like a one game versus so-and-so against a team that, got a series against said team. But they both did play Alabama as well. What's crazy about it is, they're number 11, number 12. They're 1, they're 2 in the Sun Belt standings. And in these 10 common opponents, they're basically a wash. With the wins and losses versus these other two teams. It's crazy how close these teams are in just about every single aspect that you could really measure as far as the bigger picture. I mean, you can get down into ERA and stuff that's probably going to stand out a little bit more, but that's a little bit bigger of a resume. When you're looking at just the common opponents, it's just incredible how many wins they have against the same teams and how many losses they have against the same teams. So we are going to see a really good game today if all of this holds true, right? We're not going to see either guy's number one starter on the mound, unfortunately. That was kind of the extra little kick to the championship game we were all hoping for, but we still think we're going to see some really talented guys on the mound for each team, and that's also going to be a good thing, because that's going to save those guys for their weekend rotation coming up in the regional aspect of things. TJ, yeah, any other ending news notes? Have the rosters been officially
Not that
posted?
I've seen. Not that
Okay.
I've seen, but I pulled up some stuff about both guys. Camden Sundstrom. He is the unofficially confirmed starter for today for Southern Miss. 4.43 ERA over 20 and a third innings pitched. He is a freshman. Just like Jason said, he comes in, he pitches a lot for Southern Miss. He's one of those midweek guys. He's got 14 appearances, 1 start. So your second start of the season's in the Sun Belt Championship. Good luck, kid. That's that is throwing him to the wolves if I've ever seen it. But they're going up against Luke Jones. I mean, Luke Jones at the same time. Like I said, he comes in against Clemson. Two games against Clemson, gets the start both times against a number 3 and a number 9 Clemson team. In both meetings, they're top 10, and he comes in and pitches phenomenal. 5 hits combined in the 2 games between the 2 of them. So, I mean, that is, if there was a if there was a sophomore, or if there was a freshman, that you wanted to throw against Southern Miss, it would be Luke Jones. On the season, he's got 45 and a third innings pitched, so he's got a little bit more experience this year. His ERA is escaping me right now. I can't find 3.18 ERA on the season. So we've got two pitchers, 3.18 ERA and a 4.43 ERA. So two guys sub 5. You're going to get good pitching. You're going to get two freshmen going at it, and you're going to have two high octane offenses going at it. This should be a really good game.
Yeah. Do you expect this one to be a little bit more high scoring then because of all this?
I think so. I think that Jason's point about, not pitching your ace because there are bigger fish to fry, I think that holds true. I think that it would have made more sense for Coastal to pitch Luke Jones in the Marshall game yesterday and saved, that way you get 2 innings or you get 2 outings from those two guys. But, I think that with the 2 freshmen on the mound, this is a strategic move at this point to try and preserve arms for the games that matter. Like Jason said, the offenses don't have that problem. The offenses are, all of them are going to be out there looking to hit the what out of the ball. And I think that there are going to be some freshman mistakes. I think they're both tremendous pitchers, but I think there are just going to be some mistakes that get made out of youth. And there are going to be some pitches, maybe a cross up, maybe a hanging breaking ball. And there are guys in both lineups that are going to make you pay on those kind of mistakes. And it has nothing to do with the pitchers themselves. It has to do with how good these offenses are. So I think this one has the potential to be a shootout. This one has the potential to be a barn burner. I would be very surprised if either one of these pitchers was able to hold the other team to under 5 runs. But we've seen Luke Jones do it to Clemson. So maybe it's a pitcher's duel. I think either way, it's going to be high-level baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm assuming that means you're taking Coastal Carolina to win this game with what you've just said about Luke Jones and the propensity to shut down some pretty good opponents.
No, I'm not going to, because I'm an alum, I'm not going to make a pick.
Okay.
I think it's pretty obvious who, once we get off of this, who I want to win. But I think that it would be unfair for me to make a pick. I think that you look at it without the bias. Luke Jones does have more innings logged this year. He does have more experience as a freshman. But Camden Sundstrom, I'm mispronouncing his name. I apologize. Camden Sundstrom. I mean, his last time out against Arkansas State, he pitches 4 innings. He gives up just 2 hits. He's yet to go over. I mean, 4 innings was his top. That was his season best. So Luke Jones, he pitched against Clemson. He had 4 innings apiece, 4 innings, 4 1/3. So I think that you've got 2 evenly matched guys out there. Luke Jones just has a little bit more experience out on the mound because he's pitched double the amount of innings. So do I think that Coastal might have the edge there? They might. I think that Southern Miss's offense has the edge right now, just because of the way that they've been able to win games in this tournament. Those 3 games, it's 2-1 yesterday against Troy, but they win in 7 innings on a run rule in game 2 against ODU, and then I believe it was ODU in game 2, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yes. And then in game 1 against Louisiana, I believe. I'm not looking at the bracket right now. They're able to put up in the first game. It's Texas State, 9-1 against Texas State, who had just shut out, albeit App State. They had just shut them out, and this is a very talented offense. They string hits together. Jake Cook's hitting the long ball, but they're a lot like Coastal, where they've got timely hitting. They are always looking for the extra bag. So I think you're going to see a lot of aggressive base running today. You're going to see a lot of line drives in the gaps, and you're going to see guys try and stretch doubles into triples, singles into doubles. Like that, it's going to be a gritty baseball game.
Nice. I like to hear that. As you know, if you guys have been following along, the rest of the guys at the 3B podcast have been making some picks. We do have those all officially in. We will release those after this show. And you can see where my pick is. I'll go ahead and ruin the surprise there. But I did go Southern Miss because of what TJ ended with there. The consistency of the bats, like I don't know how many times I've seen that, they score 2 runs, 2 runs, 2 runs, 2 runs. They just kind of beat you up long term. Like it's one of those boxers. They might not deliver the heavyweight knockout, but they will beat you up and you will feel it in the end because they're just so consistent across the board with the offense. But now with the pitching matchup too, it's just baseball's a weird game. It's a fun game. I hope, like TJ said, we get to see some really aggressive and some really fun baseball today. I think we are going to see a little bit more scoring than we have against some of the earlier opponents because of who was being thrown on the mound. So we'll see, but I think that about wraps it up for us. TJ, any final thoughts to share before we go grab some food and get ready for this baseball game this afternoon?
No, I think we are ready to go. 2 p.m. Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I just checked the weather because Jason brought up the weather. 87 degrees. It's going to feel like low 90s at some point in this game. So it is going to be a hot one. These two teams are both very used to playing in the heat. So, I think that this is just going to be regional light. We're going to wait and see what the turnout looks like if we get that hostile environment. But either way, everybody's tuned into this game. I don't care who's on linear television or not. This is where college baseball's attention is today, because this is going to determine, number one, whether or not Coastal gets a top 8 overall seed. And number 2, it's going to determine whether or not Southern Miss becomes the second regional host, because I think that's what's on the line here.
Yeah. So we want to see out of both teams is good offense, somehow good defense at the same time. Both teams look strong, maybe a little early extra inning. We don't want this game going too long, but something where the people that are in the committee are going to say, we can't keep either one of these teams from hosting, because that would be the best thing for the Sun Belt in general, and obviously reward great seasons for both teams as well. So best of luck to both teams. 2 Eastern, 1 Central Time, ESPN Plus. We'll be watching alongside you, and we will see you, and you'll hear from us sometime after the game and before the regionals for sure.
23-22 final score prediction.
There you go. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.